we're the ones that broke it, we can make things worse by trying to fix it. If you actually break a pot at Pottery Barn, they don't ask you to stick around and sweep it up or to stumble around and break new pots. They ask you to write a check to cover the damages and get the hell out of the store. That's what you mentioned geography a minute ago. I teach geography. I teach the history of ethnic conflict. And I'm afraid to say by your statements earlier tonight, I wouldn't pass you. And the reason is this. All foreign occupiers in history all say that if they leave, the local people will slaughter each other. The British said it, there's documentation in 1776, but I don't remember any Americans in 1861 saying, hey, let's bring back the redcoats in order to prevent our own civil war. There were contradictions that were partly caused by slavery, by colonialism, that unfortunately resulted in the Civil War. The British did in India, in Iraq, but in fact it was their presence, the Belgians in Rwanda, it was their presence as colonial powers that exacerbated or worsened internal differences, ethnic, religious differences within that society, because outside occupiers play a divide and conquer game by pitting one group against each other. You mentioned the oil law. And by worsening differences that already exist. Or creating artificial differences, as you referred to, between Sunni and Shia, which really didn't exist to this extent under the previous regime. You're constantly mentioning Al-Qaeda in Mesopotamia. And AQM has its only real political base and recruits people to its terrorist agenda because of a foreign occupation. We pull out and they see the collapse of their political base, much as you're seeing here tonight, the collapse of your political base. And I guess I'd have a challenge to you is to respect the Iraqi people as people who have recovered previously from horrific wars with Iran, with the United States and Britain, that they have the capability to work these out? Or do we simply see all these people of the region as savages who want to cut each other's throats? And that if we, the Great White Father, are not there to prevent it, somehow that's going to happen. The Loyalists told the British, if you withdraw, there's going to be bloodbaths. The allies of the British and Belgian and French colonialists all said, if you withdraw, there's going to be a bloodbath. But there's a matter of the self-determination of a people, of the sovereignty of a people. That they have determined our destiny, and we're very proud of that.
Who's the Iraqi George Washington?
Probably assassinated by our ally Saddam Hussein, probably killed in an airstrike. But if we don't actually allow the Shias, who are the economically oppressed people of the country, to have a role, we simply see them as Iranian puppets and overthrow Maliki because he's somehow an Iranian puppet, or portray al-Sadr as somehow just a terrorist and someone, instead of someone who's actually representing some economically disenfranchised people, to not simply see him as a Shia leader, but to actually see him as someone who's representing both communities in some extent. We're going to cut off any chance for internal Iraqi political development and simply see everybody as somebody else's puppet. But in fact, the only people we're allowing in there are our puppets. And I'd like to issue a challenge to you now. It's been a week now since Blackwater, the mercenary goons, massacred those people in the streets of Baghdad. You claim to be supporting the American troops. You claim to be supporting the Iraqi government. All the American troops, veterans that I've spoken to, hate Blackwater's guts. They hate DynCorp, they hate Triple Canopy, and the other private security contractors that are paid triple, quadruple what they make, and fulfill a lot of the security responsibilities that soldiers should be doing, guarding convoys, etc. You claim to be supporting the Iraqi government. Important leaders, as you say, in the Iraqi government want those people out. I'd like to see a bill from you within 48 hours, maybe 3 days, to support the Iraqi government in getting Blackwater the hell out of here. Terrible mistake.
mistake. I don't think we should do it. I think we ought to move to withdraw them. I think we ought to honor the Iraqis' request to do so. I think you're going to you have to fill that vacuum a little bit. You can't just pull people who are providing security. I think we should not depend on these groups. I think it's a terrible mistake. I think way back in Machiavelli, he talked about the dangerous mercenary armies. Okay? And there have been some terrible, terrible abuses where Blackwater guys reportedly or other security people have just shot Iraqis, and they're not subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice. They're not subject clearly to the U.S. law. They're living in no netherworld, and we ought to stop that.
But why would it be a vacuum if we have tens of thousands of soldiers there? Shouldn't be soldiers be doing it?
Well, it's just not so dang simple. I agree, because you can't, if you pull the soldiers off to do the security, we shouldn't have set it up this way. I stipulated that, 100% agree. But you have it there now, and you can't just magically say, okay, you guys, stop your mission, move over here. It's going to have to be some kind of a gradual strategic process, and we need to stop this dependence on these contractors and future military plans.
Is it our decision, or is it the Iraqi government's decision?
We should honor the Iraqi government's decision.
Right.
Well, we should not do so in a way that endangers the security of our forces. You can't do it overnight. If they say we want them out, we should work with them to gradually withdraw them. But you can't just do it overnight. People are performing the function. I don't like that they're doing the function, but you can't just say, I'll do 48 hours, I'll write a bill, the Iraqis, the Blackwater's out, poof, it's all solved.